Welcome back to the Bits of Bri Podcast 2.0. It has been 4 years since my last podcast episode, and oh Lord, life has changed a lot. 4 years ago, I was married, living in Hawaii, and flash forward to 2025, I've been divorced for almost 3 years now, and have been going on some dates and just trying to navigate this sort of double life. It's like secret lives of divorced wives over here. There has been a lot of interesting dates and things going on. And I just feel like, as the only person, quite honestly, out of all of my friends that when I was going through a divorce, was getting divorced, that it felt really lonely. And, I have wonderful friends who wanted to support me, but they always say like the best advice is from people who've gone through the experience themselves. So I hope that in this new era of the podcast, I can be helpful if you or any of your friends are going through a divorce and dabbling back into the dating pool again, because it is wild out there, as you're probably going to hear in this podcast episode and any other episodes where we kind of talk about dating after divorce. But I'm really excited because I have a great friend. Her name is Ashlei Aaron. If you watch my YouTube channel, you've probably seen us collaborate on home decor stuff because she is so talented. Like, her home looks like a Pinterest decorated house. But behind the scenes, we are those notorious friends that just send each other voice chat after voice chat after voice chat after voice chat. And she has just been so sweet, so supportive whenever, I kind of give her a little life update on how dating's been going. And so I felt like Ashlei would be the perfect person to join me for this kickoff episode where we're kind of talk about the secret lives of divorced wives, because Ashley's known all my secrets, I think. So Ashlei, welcome.
Hey Bree, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
I'm so excited to get into it.
I know there's so much to
There
talk about.
is.
We've said, like, where do we even get started in this? Like, what should, some of the stories, you don't know all of them.
Yes,
What
I
do we
don't
talk
know
about
all of
first?
them.
What do you want to
Okay,
know? What haven't we talked about?
what we haven't talked about is I want to know, okay, this is more recent, but I want to go back maybe as far as like a year ago. But could we start with Iceland? I know that that was more recent, but did you meet anybody on that trip? Because I feel like I didn't get a chance to talk to you. It was like what, around the holidays, and you had your birthday, and
Yeah.
we just got so busy. So did you meet or see any cute guys when you were there?
Okay, so the Iceland trip, for context, I went with one of my best friends. Like, we were roommates in Baltimore when we were both teaching in Baltimore together, and she planned this epic Iceland trip. I mean, it was so beautiful. And she's also single. And so when I got there, this had never even occurred to me, but she is like a pro at this. She's one of the people actually who helped me first create my profile when I was told after the divorce, like, you have to get on online dating. It is the only way to date, because, we didn't have dating apps when I was 22 when I met my husband. So this is, uncharted territory for me. So she'd help me with my initial dating profile. And when I got to Iceland, she's like, switch your location to Iceland. And I was like, oh, never even thought about doing that. So switched it to Iceland, and there was this hockey boy on the app that I was like, like, he looks really cute. And he was from the US, but had moved to Iceland. I think he was also a college professor or something like that, but his pictures were like these cute hockey pictures. So I was like, all right. So we made plans. He was going to meet us out at one of the bars. And I mean, she's the one who said it. She's like, oh no, this is like a catfish situation. Those were like some very old, maybe altered hockey pictures, because he didn't quite look like that. But at the bar where we were, it was like him, me, her. And on the other side of her was this tall, dark beard, very handsome man reading a book. And if you
Okay.
know anything about me, I was an English teacher. I'm a book nerd. So I'm like, what are you reading? And he was actually German. So he was reading this book in German. And I know just a little bit of German. And yeah, we kind of hit it off. And the hockey guy got really mad and just like chugged his beer and left. And I flirted with the sexy German man for the rest of the night. So
I love it. I love it. Okay, so we're calling him the German. And so
yeah, he's the
Iceland was
German.
good. Okay, so Iceland was good. And it's funny that you talk about dating apps because I feel like that's so true. Like there was no dating apps, right? The last time you were single. And so trying to navigate all that and then your girlfriend saying to turn on your location, I would have never thought to do that. But it
Right.
was perfect.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
use it everywhere. Okay, so which dating apps have you used?
Oh, which
Because I'm
dating app?
curious about that.
Okay, so I think some are definitely better than others. I would just say for like best quality between I've never used Tinder because I've heard that it's just like a hookup site. And I'm looking for like long term. I did use Bumble when I first got divorced because I think it was more popular then, but didn't really get see much on there that I thought was great. I feel like Hinge out of those three is probably the best quality one to use. Not that it's great. But then I've also done the League, which I think is a little bit better than Hinge. Like if I'm rating them on like just the type of people and like more elevated like what they're looking for as far as like long-term relationships and men like the League your LinkedIn is actually connected to it, so it's a little bit more for people who are looking for whether it's like entrepreneurial minded people or people who understand what your occupation is kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And so somebody who is a entrepreneur, I found that site to be a little or app I guess to be a little bit more appealing. I still haven't been accepted to Raya. So
That's so
I hear
interesting.
everybody
I'm
else talk
surprised.
about it. Huh?
Okay, I'm so surprised that you haven't got accepted to Raya. I would think that that would just be so easy because they need like a plethora of women and but you just haven't. Do you have to know somebody then to get accepted or how does it work?
I mean, I don't know if somebody knows somebody at Raya, maybe you can help. But I even know my like LA management team. They have all like given me recommendations to Raya because that's how it is. You have to have people that refer you to get on it.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, that's wild. Okay. All right, so no Raya, but you like the League and you liked Hinge.
Yes. And then I would say there was one other one, but I feel like it's for people like you have to be willing to travel. It's called
Okay.
Luxy. And they screen you a lot. Like you have to get on and do an actual video. Like they make sure that like you match your pictures. Cause I guess there's a lot of people who try to impersonate to get on it. Cause it's kind of known as like a more elite, like, they claim that they have like X number of millionaires, as a part
Mhm.
of Luxy. And it's kind of like you join it knowing like, okay, I'm going to commit to dates where they're like flying in or they might want to fly me somewhere kind of a thing. So yeah, that's kind
Okay.
of, yeah.
All right, so are you feeling like you're not having the greatest luck with the apps, or are you having better luck meeting in person
Okay. So
or through
I'm old
friends?
fashioned, I guess. I definitely feel
Okay.
like meeting in person is just how it's naturally supposed to go because
Okay.
I think men need to pursue you. And I think what's confusing on the apps, even though I hated Bumble, it's like it makes the girl make the first move. And I think
Mm-mm.
that's so against how interactions work in the wild. So, yes, I think in person is where I've always had the best connections. But I've definitely met really amazing guys through the apps and then some interesting ones too. So
All right, well, are you looking for somebody older, younger? Because I know what you like and I know your type, but I just want to know like
so
this
tell
time
me what you
around.
think. Tell me what you think.
I feel like this time around you are really looking for like your perfect equal. You need somebody who is like a good businessman or entrepreneur or just highly successful, super motivated. I mean, because you're such a motivated person, you're constantly coming up with new ideas, you're really creative. I mean, you've got the three kids. I definitely feel like whoever you're going to date is going to have children because I don't know, you have three. I just feel like he'll have at least one, right?
Yes.
And I'm thinking, even though I know you love to travel, your kids are still little. So he's got to be close to Ohio, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like
Or
he's
just
gonna
has
have to
that
be
flexibility.
closer.
Like he just
Yeah,
has to have like a private
private
jet. Like
jet.
he has the ability to
Exactly.
just fly here when it's, the
Yeah.
way my schedule works is 2 times a month I have like a long weekend where it's like 5 days where I don't have my kids. So it
Okay.
would have to be somebody who's like, hey, I'm just going to fly out and get some quality time with you for those 5 days. And
Exactly.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but are you open to younger or older, or are you looking more your exact age? What are you
Okay.
thinking?
Okay. So initially when you set the parameters on the site for what your age range is, I was going like 30s and 40s.
Okay.
Just because if people don't know my age, I just turned 37. So like when I started on the dating apps, I was 34, and so I felt like, well, a guy, don't want it that much younger than me. So like starting in the 30s, and it felt like up to the 40s would be good. However, in person, I met somebody. It was over the summer, and I would have, had we been on the apps, I would have never met him. But he was honestly like one of those people. I know we were like supposed to meet for a reason. And I feel like he taught me so much, even though we dated for like a month. But I feel like in that month, we like did get to know each other really well. And he was 54, and I would have
Oh, wow.
never ever told you that at 36 I would be dating a 54-year-old, but it was such a
Okay.
good match. It was a good.
Really?
I mean,
Okay.
he was one of those people that like he had such a unique energy about him, like that I liked. I feel like our energy matched really really well.
Okay.
And I mean, he was really fit. Like he had a six pack. So I mean, at
Yeah.
54, if you're rocking a six pack, like come on.
Yeah.
Was very successful, was just like one of those people who was highly ambitious, clearly made it all actually happen, had a really unique style, was like very business, but also very creative, like played in a band on top of his, like, owning his own business. So he was just a really unique person that I feel like on so many levels was like just a great match. But, on an app, I would have never even seen him had I not
Mhm.
met him in person. So yeah, he was
Okay.
kind of the gateway for the Zaddy crowd.
Okay, so now you're open to older because
Yeah.
that was a good experience.
Yeah.
And okay, now you know what I'm going to ask you because I've been so interested. Have you dated anybody younger? Like a lot younger? Because that
Okay.
was my recommendation. Do you remember when I was like, Brie,
Yeah.
you got to try somebody young? Only because I feel like men do it all the time. So it's like maybe, I don't know, like let's try. To me, it just makes sense. You have so much energy and you're just go, 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 and you travel. I feel like somebody younger could keep up with you. Not saying that 50 isn't good because I remembered like that was a good experience for you. But what do you think
Yeah.
about younger?
Okay. So if people saw my TikTok, because I on TikTok did a little dating rap to just kind of how 2024 dating, it was something that was trending and somebody asked me to do it. And I was like, yeah, this actually is kind of fun to look at the data. I did realize though, like looking back on it, I said 14 people and there was a couple people I forgot about. So there was technically 17, but I'm not sure if like two of them count as first dates because it was more that like the Iceland guy, does that count as a date?
No. That was
Okay.
a moment. Like what
Okay.
did
So
Martha Stewart say? That was just like a really intimate moment that you
okay.
had. Like
Okay.
it was a good time.
Yeah. It was just like a fun little bar makeout session.
Yeah.
So
It's not like you can date someone from Iceland. Like that's so far, but you
well,
should be
technically it was
having a
like
good
Germany,
time.
right? So
Oh,
it was
Germany, right.
like
The German.
honestly, I don't even think I know his name. Like I think he told me
That's
his
what
name
I
then,
love.
but like I do not like remember his name now. Like
We're
it's
not
probably
doing
like a
names
text message because
anyways.
my
Yes.
friend did send me a video. Like she has a video of like herself and she pans to me and him. And obviously I won't share this with the internet for like his
Right.
privacy's sake. And same thing, like I really want to be respectful to the guys that I dated because I will say, like, I've gone out with wonderful people who treated me really, really good. And honestly, I've thought about this. Like, if there's other single women around here that I think you'd be a good fit for these guys, like, I would set people up on dates with some of these guys because they are great. Like, I've gone out with some amazing ones, but there's just things that don't work. Like, it's like their schedule with their kids and my schedule with mine, or, just things that they want long term that don't match up with what like I want long term, right? But they're still like really great guys. Um, And like, I've had the couple who don't like the age of my kids either. So, just all those factors.
Okay.
But what were we saying about ADHD?
I don't know, but you literally dated. Can I say, I agree with you. You have dated some good guys, like of all ages, and meeting them in all different types of scenarios through friends, just
Yeah.
in places you've hung out. Like, I'm so proud of you because I'm like, I don't know how you have the time to find all of these like good men that you've dated. So I feel like when you finally do find like the one, you've definitely sampled and met lots of good guys, and you'll know. Like, you're really
Yes.
gonna know. But
Yes.
I want to know, have you dated any athletes?
Well,
but we didn't really answer ADHD brain, the younger question.
Do you like, okay, so
And
what
it
do you
does
think
then
about
kind of
younger?
It does address the athlete question a little.
Of course, because they're always younger and an athlete.
Okay, but the TikTok thing, that's what I was saying. It's 14 dates, but does this count? Stagecoach is a 3-day music festival, and I was there with my friend and her husband, so third wheeling the entire time. But on the very first night, these two guys came up to me when I was with them, and one was really cute, and we were having a good time dancing to the music. And we're gonna call him Derek Jeter because that's what my friend's husband kept calling him, was he looks like a young Derek Jeter. We're like really hitting it off. He's like tall, handsome, we're dancing, and in the middle of a song, he just grabs me and kisses me.
So yeah, grabbed me, kissed me, and obviously I was like, okay, there is like fiery sparks going on here. So music continues because there's like concerts that go until like midnight there. And I probably met him at like, one of the early evening concerts. And he pulls out his phone and he starts taking like Snapchat pictures and videos of like me and him, like selfie style. And that's when it hit me. I was like, wait, how old are you? Because I was like, if you're using like Snapchat, I'm just like, oh, I don't think he's in his 30s. And he was 27.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, he was tall, he was handsome. I was like, I really do. I feel like there's a little window where it's like men in their late 20s to early 30s just look a little older. Like I don't know. And then I feel like, I said to him, because it was very funny at Stagecoach when we first got there that day, I'm walking, with my friend and her husband, and I saw this man that I was like, oh my gosh, that's like probably the most beautiful man I've ever seen. Okay. And then I look next to him and it's Kristen Cavallari. So it was the guy that she was dating, like the young guy.
Yes.
But I mean, I will tell you, like, kudos to her. Like in person, he was one of the most beautiful men I've ever seen. Like he was a walking Greek god or something. But anyways, stopped and chatted with her and she was so sweet, like just confirmed all the reasons why I've loved her since Laguna Beach. But
we love her.
They have the same age gap, right? Like he was, I think probably even more than the 27-year-old, right? Because I think she's a year older than me. Mm-hmm. And how old was her boyfriend?
I don't remember, but he was definitely in his young to mid 20s.
Like
he was not 27. Yeah, he was way younger.
Yeah. So anyway.
But did he look it in person?
Who? The guy, Mark, who dated Kristen?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm telling you. He was the most beautiful man I'd ever seen.
But he looked older, or did he look 24?
No, he looked young. Like,
oh, he did.
I think he looks like he's like his age. You know what I mean? But this guy, like the one, my 27-year-old.
Derek Jeter.
Young Derek Jeter. I mean, I would have put him more in like early 30s. So, I would have figured there was maybe like a 2 to 3 year age gap with us, not like almost a 10-year age gap,
But I feel like people always think you're younger too. So don't you feel like that might be why sometimes you get hit on? Because I feel like I've heard people say that about you, like they think you're a lot younger than what you are. So maybe a 27-year-old guy thinks that you guys are similar in age. But let's be honest. Yeah, they don't care. They don't care.
And that's what he said to me, because when he pulled up the Snapchat, that to me, I was like, wait, how old are you? And he's like, I'm 27. And I was like, are you okay with the Kristen Cavallari situation? And he's like, wait, how old are you? And I was like, yes. And he's like, I don't know. He's like, I thought maybe around 30. And I was like, at 6 years. And their responses are always sweet, but you never know if they're just like saying that to you because, we know what guys at the end of the day want. Like they're going to be complimentary, right? It's like, okay, yeah, blow smoke. But I was like, no, I'm 36, but I mean, he got my number. And again, he was bold. Like, and that's the kind of man I like. Like, I love when men are like, I am not afraid to pursue you, ask you for your number, text you, set up plans. And that's what he did. So, like, you know, that was the first night of the festival. All Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon, he's like, which concerts are you going to? Because there's a lot of like overlap. So he was trying to be like, where can we meet again? I want to see you again. And I love that. Like, I love when guys take that initiative, or when clearly it's creepy if the girl isn't giving anything back, but clearly I was into it. Like, we kissed, we were taking all these pictures and videos together, having a great time. So therefore I feel like it's fully appropriate for you then to be like very masculine in pursuing a girl. But when you get there though, if anybody who's gone, there are so many people in such a small, it's not small, I mean, you still have to walk very far, but there's just so many people in that little area where the concerts are. You have no self-service. Like, nobody's, you know, it comes in and out, like, very sporadically. So Saturday night, even though, like, you know, he's asking me, I came back actually to the hotel room and I had a ton of texts from him where he's like, I'm here, come meet me. I'm here, come meet me. I'm at this show now, come meet me. So he was trying. And then Sunday morning.
We love a man who takes charge. Isn't that so refreshing? And that's why I tell people, like, don't count out a younger man because they have the energy. But you know what? Snapchat, that's good advice.
Yeah.
If they pull out Snapchat, they probably are under 30. I'm sorry, but it just makes sense. Like, okay.
Yeah.
So did you guys meet up again?
Because he took all these and he saved them. So like, that was the other thing. Like, the next morning I'm getting like our videos and and that's where everybody, by the way, because I was asked about this, because somebody was like, why are you holding your friend's husband's hand? Because I did like a little video on Instagram of like, you know, my time at Stagecoach. And he took a video basically where I was like holding his hand and walking towards the Ferris wheel. And he took that video and sent it to me. And I thought it was really cute. Like,
really cute.
I have to say, I really like, I will say that quality about him as somebody who is an influencer for a living. Like, when a guy is just naturally like, let me take these cute pictures and videos of you, and I don't have to ask, I'm like, love you.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Make a great husband. A great influencer husband. Exactly.
But yeah, but basically Sunday morning, he was blowing up my phone again and was like, hey, since we know we don't have reception, let's pick a place and a time that like we are going to meet when we get there. So we picked the place and time, and this was so unfortunate. So you take buses like from your hotel to get to the festival. Well, I forget if it was like something happened with the bus or like that the bus was late, but basically by the time we got in, I missed like the time and the place that I was supposed to meet him. So I just like was like, oh, that's such a bummer. Like, it would have been so fun. Well, we're at the shows. Obviously, we're like drinking, and we know it's the last night. Like, it's Morgan Wallen. Like, he was the reason I bought the tickets. It was like I didn't care really about anybody else at Stagecoach. I wanted to see Morgan Wallen, and I just kind of wanted to experience like a music festival because I'd never done it, and you know, wanted that experience. So it was Morgan Wallen's night. It was just like, okay, this is our last night to like live it up, and I had to go to the bathroom, and so I like left my friend and her husband, and we kind of said like, because of the reception, we have to stick together the whole time. Well, on my way to the bathroom, I'm quite a few tequila shots in at this point. I didn't realize the Beach Boys were playing, and that is one of my dad's favorite bands. Like, I grew up in my dad's car. That is like one of my like fondest memories of hearing my dad. Like, he would always try to sing the high notes to the Beach Boys, and they were playing the song that I feel like I would like even play when he passed, of the God Only Knows Where I'd Be Without You. So buzzed Bri gets in her emo, like, I'm sobbing. I'm standing there. I'm supposed to be going to the bathroom. I'm standing there sobbing. I'm sucked into the Beach Boys. John Stamos also makes like a cameo appearance with the Beach Boys, and I'm like, Uncle Jesse and the Beach Boys, and I'm just like emo Bri crying. And this is so bad. I
picture it.
I'm by myself, and some girl comes up to me and is like, oh my God, my dad loves Barbara Ann. Do you know if they've played Barbara Ann yet? Because I want to call my dad during that song. And then I'm just crying more because I'm like, I want to call my dad during the Beach Boys, but I like can't. So emotional. Go to the bathroom, and you know, they're porta potties, so there aren't like mirrors, so you don't know what you look like. Okay. but I was crying. So clearly I let tear streaks down my makeup, but it was getting dark. And I try to find my friends and I cannot find them. And I'm circling. I'm like circling and circling and circling. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm just going to be watching Morgan Wallen by myself now because Buzz Debris wandered off, got drawn into the Beach Boys and had a moment. And all of a sudden my phone's buzzing and it's young Derek Jeter. So somehow, I mean, like God had to have made this happen because like we didn't get to meet where we were supposed to, but then somehow the cell reception that never worked all of a sudden is working. And he's like, oh my God, I lost my friends. And I'm like, I lost my friends too. And he's like, well, where are you right now? And I'm like, I'm right by like this sign on this side. He's like, look under it. I'm standing right there. So we literally like run to each other, watched Morgan Wallen together. Honestly, it was like just like the cutest little way for like Stagecoach and the whole experience to kind of end. And I mean, yeah, we never saw like each other in person again, but like we became Instagram friends, and you know he'll slide into the DMs from time to time. But it was like a fun single girl festival experience. So
I love it. That's so fun. So you are really staying open to meeting somebody anywhere.
Because I feel like you just, and that's why I think the in person to me, like I feel like I just want to try to be ultimately, I think God is going to put me wherever the places are that I should be for my husband, and that like my husband is looking for me in the same way that I've been praying about him, and like it will happen. But that's where I just feel like on the apps, again, I've met some great people on the apps, but I feel like the in-person energy that you feel from certain people, you just never get that from an app, or like it's by chance when you meet them after meeting on an app, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like an app, it's kind of like a text. You don't get the full picture, right?
Yeah.
And like you said with the older guy, you would never have considered somebody that age
I
on
would have
the app.
never.
Never.
And but then it did make me open up and like have met wonderful people. Like I really do. I feel like we're going to talk about this more in length, but I really do feel like there is like a last era of gentlemen that are like the 50 to 55 age, because they just treat you almost like it's like what you see in the movies of being like wined and dined and romanced. Like they just do that. Like at that age, like that is what they all did. And I feel like it's rare for guys in their 30s to be doing those things. At least in my
They didn't have dating apps.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have dating apps. They had to work for it. They had to court you.
That is so true. That's probably part of it. It's like they're like, I'm used to having to work for this. I'm used to having to send flowers, bring flowers. I'm used to like making reservations and like having, you know, to go the extra mile with everything. Yeah. So I love when men take charge in all those ways. So it's so refreshing. Yeah.
All right. Well, I know that, okay, so you're saying you met somebody at Iceland and Stagecoach. Didn't you go to Nashville?
When did I go to Nashville?
Did you go to Nashville, or am I thinking about Nashville guy? Do you remember him?
You're thinking about, I never went to Nashville, but I met a guy from Nashville.
Okay, is he in Ohio and he just relocated? Remind me about him, because I feel like we didn't get into that.
Yeah, I don't think I really like told you about him. But yeah, that was just one of those ones. It's weird because there's been a couple people, like not that many, but there's been a couple people where like I'll have seen them, like our paths intercross a couple times until then, like the timing is right and something happens. So this guy, he is the lead singer of a band, and I'd gone to like where his band had played a couple of times, but I was dating somebody else. So like, even though I'd met him and we like interacted slightly, like, you know, nothing ever came of it besides I think he started following me on Instagram. So one of those ones, you know what I mean? Like you can see like they watch your stories and will occasionally like comment, slide in your DMs sort of thing. But then I was single. I was out for my girlfriend's birthday. Same thing again. His band was playing and he was like, come to my VIP table, like when I'm done, kind of a thing. And But I mean, that's the problem. He lives in Nashville. I think like this is part of the thing. It's like
Okay.
sometimes the
Okay.
energy, like the really good energetic connections I've had, they don't live here. So,
Okay.
but I mean, I feel like it has made me be open. Like, obviously, I love to travel. You know me. Like, I try to
Mhm.
travel every opportunity I get. But
Yes.
it's, I think another thing then, to find somebody who makes the long distance work, who like
Mhm.
can overcome that and, you know, make it happen.
Yeah. No, I agree because especially with you having the kids, like they need to be able to travel to you, they need to be flexible. You can travel to them, but your kids are so little. Like you need to be in Ohio if that's where the kids are, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could see that. Have you dated anybody famous or in any other industries other than sports?
Oh God. Well, you were asking me about the athlete.
Yeah.
So I did go out on a date with like an international soccer player.
Okay.
So I guess that counts, right?
Yeah. No, that
Yeah.
definitely counts.
Yeah.
How was that? I know how that was, but I feel like we need to talk about it.
No, I mean he was great, but here's the thing. He's also younger. And I think I have to be really
Yeah.
realistic in the fact that it's not like he's a retired soccer player. Like he's still playing. So the only
Okay.
reason I went on a date with him is because, well, I shouldn't say only reason, but I'm like the reason I could go out on a date with him is because his family's from here. So he was home. I guess like their
Okay.
off season is like mid-December till he was saying like it's usually sometime in February they have to go back to start preseason workouts. So, you know, if you're only in town for 2 months.
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
But he was hot.
I mean, okay, I didn't like we just went out on a date, like nothing happened, but I went to lunch with my girlfriend who I guess used to like in college she would like hook up with people on the soccer team and she's like soccer guys have the best bodies. She's like they have the best like abs and I'm like, well, didn't experience that, but like, you know.
So you probably
He
won't see
was
him
very
again
well
then.
dressed though. Like I will
Oh, he
say
was? Okay.
I don't know if it was like the European influences probably, but like really well dressed. He also, I think he
Nice.
said like he had a family member who owned like a fashion boutique too. So
That's definitely a bonus.
yeah. Yeah, we like a man who's a good dresser,
Well dressed.
right?
We love a well
Yeah.
dressed man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially because you have good style. So I feel like
Oh.
whoever you're dating, he needs to have good style too. What is the craziest thing that has happened to you on a date?
Oh Lord. I have to think about it for a second because I feel like there has been a lot. Okay, I know one I can tell you. So even my friends who like been told their husbands about this, their husbands are like, what? So so I'd gone out with this guy a couple times. Progressively was like getting to know him, liked him obviously, because I went out with him more than once. And we are at dinner. And I was so grateful for this actually because I had been running around all day. I had like a ton of errands and he was going to pick me up as I feel like gentlemen do. And he had been so great, total gentleman, very sweet. Like on one of our first dates, he like took me to a bookstore and bought me a book. He's like, I want to buy you a book because, you know, very sweet things, like things that I like. I love that. So things were going great. Like I was like, okay, this is awesome. Well, we're nearing, oh, sorry. So I was out running errands because this is an important part of the story. So out running errands and I'm like, hey, you know, instead of you picking me up, just so like I'm not late, let's just meet at the restaurant kind of thing. So we meet at the restaurant, have a good dinner. Everything's going really great. I mean, he had like asked me about going on a trip, all these things. So I was kind of like, okay, like maybe this is going to turn into something. Like I was excited. I was hopeful. Well, we eaten dinner and I think like the girl had just brought the check, but he like hadn't paid it quite yet. And I just had asked him, he had a family member who wasn't doing very well that he was like, you know, giving a significant amount of time to helping. And I just, you know from my dad that when you're in that caregiver role, it can be really, really stressful on you. So I just said like, you know, how are they doing? And like, you know, I hope that you're taking care of yourself because it sounds like it's been like a rough couple of weeks for you. And he was just like, yeah, oh my God, you're not kidding. Like, it's taking a serious toll on me. And I'm like, oh no. I was like, well, I hope you're taking some time for yourself. He's like, well, I actually had to go to the doctor. I was like, oh, you went to the doctor? And he's like, yeah, I have the worst hemorrhoids.
What?
And I'm like, I just
Okay.
started laughing because I honestly thought he was like, it was a joke. Like, he was a very funny, comedic person, like very witty. And so I'm just laughing, like, oh my God, like, stop, like, you're killing me. And he's like, no, Bri, I'm serious. He's like, they've gotten so bad. He's like, I'm bleeding. And I'm like, again, I'm kind of like, wait, what? Like, I'm still kind of like, is this a joke? Like, are you being serious? Like, I'm just at this point now, like, awkwardly laughing. And he's like, yeah, the doctor said, like, I think I might need to have surgery. And I'm like, are you serious? And he's like, yeah, it's so bad. He's like, I have to wear a diaper.
Bri, stop. He did not.
I was literally just like,
Oh my
okay.
God.
I I'm still laughing awkwardly because and I'm like, and he's like, yeah, so I hope you fantasized about a grown man wearing a diaper. And I'm like, okay, stop. And he goes, I'm serious. And he reaches into his waistband and pulls up the diaper to show me he's wearing a diaper.
Oh my God. What?
And all I could think is, thank God I was busy and met him at the restaurant so I could just get in my car and go.
Oh my God.
I mean, like,
Did
I
you?
said goodbye and all that. Like,
Okay.
I said bye nicely, but like, I was just like,
Bri, that is wild.
is that wrong of me though? Like, should I not have been
No.
judgmental or I mean, I don't know. I feel like I just
No.
knew it was like, I thought it was a joke. Like, I literally thought he was joking. I thought
He
was joking.
pulled his diaper out at the restaurant. That's diabolical. Like, who does that? That is insane. Oh, you were so nice to stay and say bye. I feel like I would have been so uncomfortable thinking he was joking. I think I just would have left. I think he felt comfortable enough to share that with you. Oh my gosh. Wow. I was not expecting that.
I was not expecting that either. I was not expecting that.
Like, I thought you were going to say like an ex walked in or, oh my, that's wild.
Oh, I've had that happen so many times. You would not even believe how many times I have been on dates and people's exes are there.
Are you serious?
Yes. Okay, I can tell you. This was one of the craziest ones. Okay. So I went on a date with this guy. I still think he was so sweet. He was so sweet. I wasn't in the place to get serious about anything yet because he was probably like the second or third date I went on after my divorce. Such a sweet guy. Okay. We meet at dinner. Things are going good. And he's like, let's go down. The flats here in Cleveland is where like certain places have like piano bars and bands. And so like if you want to see live music, you can go down there, on the weekends. So we had a good dinner, go down there to the one restaurant. And like where we're sitting, I'm sitting in like the booth that's facing the entire restaurant. And he was in the chair across from me. And the bar is like behind him. So we're sitting there, obviously had good enough dinner that we, extended it to have some fun. And I see this group of girls come in. There's like 3 girls. And they're just glaring over at our table. Like, and you can just sense like, okay, this is kind of like, they're really staring kind of a thing. Like, just too many times that you're like, oh, it's just people like looking around, feeling out the scene kind of thing. Okay. And so at one point I could tell like the other girl like pointed over to us. And so I just said to him, I go, there's this like group at the bar. I don't know. They keep looking over here. I think they just pointed over here. I was like, do you know them? And he turns and he goes, oh my God, it's my ex-girlfriend and her friends. And I don't know. Again, it's our first date. And like my friends were like, I would have never said this. But I'm like, I don't care. The girl started crying. Like when he looked back and like clearly saw that she was there, she starts crying. Okay. I had to go to the bathroom. So I'm like, listen, I was like, I've got to go to the bathroom. I go, it's just our first date. You will not offend me if you feel like it would be appropriate for you to like, go talk to her. Like clearly she's very like visibly upset right now. Okay. So I go to the bathroom. I come back. He's gone. Okay. And the girls are still sitting at the bar.
All
and
3?
They come up to me and they go, like, you know, it's her friends. They're like, he's trash. He's horrible. Like, glad you know before you, like, you know, because I was like, oh, it's just our first date. Like, you know, whatever. But I'm still like, okay, we haven't paid for our stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking
Right.
maybe he went to the bathroom. Like, I don't know where he went. They go back to the bar. I'm sitting there and I get a text from him and he's like, she had the bouncer kick me out. He's like, I'll Venmo you right now. Can you just pay for the check?
Stop. Are you serious?
Yeah.
She had him kicked out?
Yeah. Because I guess like it's like her cousin owns the bar or something like that, which I was kind of like, we shouldn't have even have came here. But honestly, I couldn't remember. Like I might have been the one to suggest we go there just because it was like, you know what I mean? So he probably like didn't want to go there, but like did it because I suggested it.
Oh my God. So did he Venmo you?
Oh, and I met him outside. He's like, I'm waiting outside if you like want to go get a drink somewhere else.
That was still nice. At least he didn't leave you hanging, but that's crazy. That's crazy.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I still think he was very nice. I'm not sure. You know, in all these situations, there's two sides to every story.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I feel like that is one of the biggest things that I've realized too is, you know, there's those sites. I feel like every city has them. They're like, are we dating the same guy? And I have.
Wait, what is that?
Wait, you don't know? Oh, well, yeah, because you're like not in. That's what I mean. Okay, so you wouldn't know about this until you become a divorcee, I guess.
Okay.
Or just currently on the single scene. But on Facebook, there are these groups you have to apply to get into them. Like they screen you to make sure, like, you know, you're from that area. And I think especially that you're not a dude or like a dude who made like a fake profile. Because what women will do is, let's say they find their husband's cheating on them or their boyfriend's cheating on them. They will post, you know, because the way a lot of these guys are doing it is they get on apps and they pretend they're single. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So when they find the app on their phone, a lot of the girls will be like, he's married. Like, you know what I mean? And like show their picture or like he has a girlfriend and like he's on the dating app kind of a thing. And sometimes girls will just post a picture on the dating app, like if they get a weird vibe or if they've had like a really bad experience on the date, they'll be like red flag, like this guy was physical or this guy, you know what I mean, was like verbally abusive or like, you know, it's kind of like honestly, I love it overall because it feels very much like a women for women. We're helping each other out. Like we're not going to let these scumbags, you know, what I mean, do their dirty tricks. Like, so.
No, for real.
So there was like a guy and I really liked him, but then I saw that his ex posted on there and I kind of got more information and it was just like an ick then. I'm like,
yeah.
Like, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So you didn't think about that. Like you wouldn't know about those sites.
No. And I always wondered if they
like,
existed.
Like, I think it's like Cleveland, Akron, Canton, you know, it's kind of like the three close by cities.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure when I've like talked to other people who are single, they like say the same thing of like wherever they're located, they join that group just to kind of get a heads up. There's any.
Okay, I feel like single women should do that. Yeah, I feel like single women should do that because I always wondered if something like that existed because I'm like, why waste your time if you don't have to? And if they are a major red flag, okay. So the guy who told you about his hemorrhoids, did you then post him on there? Because I feel like
no, I just told the whole story on a podcast. No, and that's the thing. Like, I feel like that's where I'm like, I don't want to come across that I'm like an insensitive, horrible person. Like, I feel horrible for him and his hemorrhoids, but like, I just don't think that's like appropriate to tell me on one of like our early dates and think that I'm going to be sexually attracted to you ever again. You know what I mean?
Again.
Like, I hope that they've healed. I hope that if he needed surgery that like he's okay. And like, I really did enjoy, like up until that point, I had a lot of fun and it was great. But in my head too, I think like the other side of me was like, did he just do that as a way to break up with me? Like, do you know what I'm saying?
I didn't think about it like that because that is really wild.
Because I just feel I'm like, who would do, like, you wouldn't. Like, if you liked the person, why would you tell them that? Like, you would just conceal it.
Personal.
Like, I've really thought about this in my head. Like, let's say we were getting serious and like he came, you know, back to my place and something was going to happen. And that's when you'd be like, oh my God, I'm wearing a diaper. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to have to like confess and tell her. Like, there was no reason to tell me when we are out at dinner, the dinner's ending and we drove separately. So clearly, like, I'm going to my house, you're going to your house. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. That doesn't
So
make sense.
I was like, if you wanted to break up with me, you could have just told me.
You could have just told me.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah, because that's something. We hope he's healed. If it was true, we hope he's healed.
Yeah,
Because
if he wasn't just doing it to break up with me, I genuinely hope that your hemorrhoids are gone and that you're doing better. And also that like the family member he was taking care of is okay too. Because
yeah,
I've been in those shoes and I know that it is like very stressful and all of that. But yeah. Yeah. No, I wouldn't. Like that's not if I were to post something on that site, quite honestly, it would be that like I was in a committed relationship with somebody and I found out that they were cheating on me. I feel like that's
Okay.
when it's very appropriate, just so that like whoever else they're talking to, because that's the thing on these sites, like they could be talking to 10 other girls a day. Do you know what I mean? If they're like a serial
That's true.
cheater kind of a thing. So it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
at least give those girls a heads up so that they're not wasting their time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. As always, Ashley, I feel like you and I could talk for days about all of this. And I mean, there's 3 years that we have to unpack. So can you come back for more episodes? Because I feel
Absolutely.
like, yay, okay.
Yes.
Because I feel like part of the reason why our voice chats have been so helpful to me, I feel like I did a bad job in the introduction of this, is Ashley has been a hairstylist and makeup artist. So she has been with so many people where she hears these types of stories about their dating life, their marriages. I just feel like she's basically like you've been a marriage counselor or like a couples therapist without even really like, you know, having that official title, right? Because of what you do.
So true. It's so true.
You always have a person who you're like, I had a client who this happened to too. Or like, I know a girl
Yes.
where like it started the same way and then like, here's what happened. And sure enough, that is oftentimes like the same exact pattern of these people.
Mhm.
So I feel like you've given me such good advice whenever I share these things with you. So I definitely want to have you back on. But before we close today's podcast episode, because I do think you just have the most beautiful marriage, like you and your husband, Steven. Everything you tell me, I'm just always like, I'm so happy for you. He sounds so great. And I think when you are, you know, coming out of a divorce where you're like, okay, this wasn't the ideal relationship for me. And then you start dating and you're just like, oh, wow. Like you can feel really hopeless and really lonely and really defeated sometimes. But I think it's so important to stay positive and remember there are really great guys out there. Like I said, I feel like I've gone out and you even said this, like I've gone out with really great people that I would honestly recommend to somebody else who might be a better match for them. Because I think, you know, there's no perfect person, but I think we all do have that perfect for us person out there that God has the timing for, and you just got to keep putting yourself out there until the timing is right. But like, what advice would you give to women that you're like, for the girl out there who's like me, who's like, okay, I get to have a fresh start. Like, what should I look for? Like, what is the bare minimum things that like you see play out in your day-to-day relationship that you're like, this is what my husband does and this is why we like are so good? Because especially like when you don't come from that relationship, sometimes you're like, I don't know, what is healthy? Like, what is good?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. So I did hair for 17 years, and it's wild because I had.
How are you even that old? How could you
I
have done hair for? Did you start when you were like 10? Like, how did that happen?
No, seriously, like 17 years, and it went by so fast. But I had clients grow up with me. I had clients who were obviously older and in more established relationships when I first started doing their hair. And I would say, one, do not ignore any red flags. Women know. Like women truly know if he gives you the ick. And I'm not talking about simple things. I'm not talking about like whatever. Bare minimum
like, what if he doesn't open your car door?
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say, okay, besides the red flags and the icks, to be very specific, bare minimum is he should be opening your door. He should be opening your door. Wait, let me go all the way back because some of my clients who are really young, I didn't realize I would have to tell some of them this, but opening your doors, they definitely should be doing. I feel like paying every single person who's in a relationship that I respect and that I would want to mirror something similar to what they have. their husband courted them from the very beginning. Like there was no games. And I know everybody says that, like about the no games. I don't care how busy he is. He will text you. He will call
Oh,
you. He
yeah.
will do all of the things like, and I'm talking about the busiest people.
Wait, say what you said to me the one time about your husband because of how he's in construction.
Oh yeah.
Because this is,
So,
ladies, this is so true. Like when a guy loves you and you are the one and he's pursuing you, this is the level. Say it.
yeah. So I just was saying, like with Steven, it does not matter how busy he is. He could be in a hole deep in the ground, barely has service. He will call me, he will text me constantly. And we've been married, it'll be what, 16 years? He always reminds me how long we've been married. I always forget, but it's been a really long time. And that man is never too busy for me. He literally answers the phone that way. I'm like, "Are you busy?" He's like, "I'm never too busy for you. What do you need?"
Mm.
And I'm telling you,
It's
but
like
that
that.
shit,
It's like that reel I just sent you.
yep.
Did I send that to you? Because maybe I forgot.
Yeah.
I wanted to send you.
No,
It
no,
was
no.
a
You sent me
girl.
some.
It was a girl who was like she's like how I knew I was in a healthy relationship, and she's with her new guy. Like they're clearly like newer into dating, and his phone's going off, and she's like, "Oh, your phone's going off," and he's like, "Well, check and see who it is," and she's like, "Oh, it's Corey," and he's like, "Okay, here's my code. Like just tell Corey like I'm with you."
Mm-hmm.
And so she uses this code, goes in, says it, and Corey's like, "Oh, well, I wanted to see if you could do dinner Friday or something like that." And the guy's like, "No, tell Corey I'm going to be busy with you on a date on Friday." Like, and she's like, "Oh, you are?" But like, it's that level where it's like when a man, it's true. When a man is like, "You are the one and I want you," you won't even have to question it, but it will be so even above what you're even thinking of, like the games of dating, right? That like we think is normal, but it actually isn't. Like when a person really wants you, they make it very clear to their friends, to you, to everybody. So
100%. There's
yeah.
no games. And you'll know from the very beginning, they are, if you are his dream girl, he will do anything it takes to be with you, to find time for you. It doesn't matter if he's an entrepreneur, he owns his own business, he has 6 kids. I promise you, I've watched it played out. I had clients who were different ages and races and religions. I had clients who were Muslim and Jewish, and they figured it out. Like I'm telling you, if that man wants to be with you, he will. So if you're getting red flags, if you're getting the ick, or you're even,
You're saying like a couple because of how different the two
yeah,
religions are and they still ended
yeah.
up together.
They
Wow.
still ended up together. And I
Wow.
had clients who were Jewish and Catholic. I had clients who were, you know, one is Chaldean and one is Black. Like they will figure it out, whether their families agree, anything. Like if that man wants to be with you, he will figure it out. And
Aw.
so I would always tell my clients that, like, what is the energy and effort he's putting into courting you? Like,
Yeah.
really pay attention to that because I just feel like dating is such a special time. It's so much fun. It really is. Don't you feel like you're having so
It
much
has been a
fun?
lot of fun. And I sometimes feel, I mean, I know myself. I'm an overachiever. I'm a perfectionist.
Hmm.
We've talked about this. You and I have the same personality. When
Hmm.
we want to make something happen, we can make it happen. But this is
That's
one of
it.
those things where it's just, you can't. You have to like let it happen to you.
You do.
But what you're saying is that's what you wait for. Like you
That's what you
go
wait
out,
for.
have fun, but until that man shows up who's doing all those things, you can't settle for anything less than that.
You
So,
can't. You
yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
And it's just so exciting. I love my clients who are single. I'm loving your single life. I selfishly never want you to find anybody because I'm just enjoying it. I'm
Don't
enjoying
say
it.
that to me.
I'm
No,
like,
I have to
no.
hopefully, I mean, I have 3 years again that we can unpack on this podcast. We could talk for days. I know this. But we will be doing more episodes soon. I definitely want to be able to give other people out there the opportunity to ask questions, you know, about things that you're struggling with. Cause I really like, again, Ashlei has been my girl that I can ask these questions to. And I think she has so much valuable experience. So I want to be able to like tell her your questions too, so you can get her input. And obviously I'll share from my experience and all that. So lots to come on this new era of the podcast. But thank you all so much for tuning in and listening. I know the episodes are on YouTube if you want to watch them, or if you're just listening on your phone. So appreciative of you, and we'll see you in the next episode. And thanks again, Ashlei, for joining me. Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.